Hi everyone, my name is David. Thank you for tuning in today. This video is the finality of the narcissist. And basically I'm going to touch on a little bit about some aspects of emotional abuse. I've made this statement before and I really believe it, that emotional abuse can be so much more psychologically damaging than physical abuse. But even more in emotional abuse, we all think, mostly a lot of people think that emotional abuse has to be verbal. And it doesn't. There's all kinds of different nonverbal emotional abuse, and I'm going to touch on some of those today. What do I mean by the finality? So, these people have contempt for others. They have contempt for you, and most of them are very angry, whether they show it, display it, or not. The finality is I'm going to get into statements and stuff like this, but you guys, I would imagine anyone that's experienced emotional abuse, especially from a narcissist, knows, just kind of has a feeling and understanding of what that is. How the things they do, the things they say are final. That you don't matter. Okay? And, it's control. It's, I'm not going to face emotional stuff, right? I'm not going to be there for you. All that matters is me. So we don't need to hear your opinion, your feelings, your actions, what you want and to do and what you need. And one way to do this is by silence. And I know, and you guys know, that there are a lot of emotional abusers out there that rule by silence, don't they? And anger is a ton to do with that, right? And not being able to speak and have any kind of emotional responsibility for themselves, right? Disordered people have been emotionally stunted in their childhood. Their development stopped completely. They're underdeveloped, emotionally underdeveloped, and they can't handle emotional responsibility. I mean, I've said before, the best way to get rid of a narcissist is, talk about emotional responsibility for them and talk about your feelings, right? It's never going to happen. So by looking stuff up for this, I came across an article in Psychology Today by Dr. Stoney. And I thought it really applies to this, pretty interesting. And he talks about disengaging and stonewalling. And I added silent treatment. That's also, right? It's silent treatment. It's disengagement. It's emotional withdrawal. Here are just some disengaging statements I came up with. I'm sure you guys have heard. If you have heard, there's a problem, right? Do whatever you want, just leave me alone. I'm doing my own thing. Quit bothering me. You're so annoying. And there's a ton of other statements, but those are just real ones that you can just really tell. They're not taking any kind of responsibility in that relationship, which is always a two-way street, right? There's reciprocation I've talked about. So Dr. Stoney terms disengaging as a distracted or preoccupied partner, right? I'm doing anything else except dealing with you. Stonewalling, he describes a stonewalling partner as punishing by refusing to listen to partner's perspectives. And I added feelings. Dismissive. And disengaging and stonewalling feels horrible. And I wrote down a few things what I think it can feel like, so you guys can identify, maybe, yeah, that I did feel like that then, and now if you feel like this in the future, be careful. So it can feel like unseen or unheard, unattractive, unimportant, unneeded, unnecessary. Lots of uns. And what do we do to this? Or what have we done? Now, typically, a lot of us is we start adapting to this. We start adapting to our partners disengaging and stonewalling. And if we do, it causes a lot of bad side effects like anxiety and depression. We tend to self-edit ourselves and self-criticize ourselves, second-guess ourselves, doubt, lose a sense of self, lose a sense of who we are, isolate, have problems with sleep, concentration, memory, and really, it's just really tearing down our self-esteem completely. If it wasn't already bad, it is now. If you find yourself in love and attached to somebody who is never validating how you feel, and not only that, just doesn't want to hear it, doesn't care what you think. This is why I say emotional abuse can be so much more psychologically damaging than physical. Major thing about emotional abuse, I mean, think of neglect and things like that. I always say neglect is just horrible, horrible. It starts as a child, and we respond and adapt to these things in adult life to relationships with people that do that to us. And it really, I mean, to start taking a sense of who you are, not sure what's going on, reality, doubting everything. And an emotional abuser, emotional abuse alone is hard to determine. It's hard to identify. I didn't know, and I know that's so common, all you guys say this. And it's hard to identify the emotional abuser. They're not hitting you. There's not bruises. There's nothing that you can see. It's hard to determine not only that the person is wrong, but it's not us, because it's constant. It's so much more constant. Whereas a lot of physical abuse and a lot of physical abusers, they tend to physically abuse, and then maybe there's a golden period, and they may be sorry, or there may be gifts, or there's a nice period where it's really bad and then it's nice. Then it's really bad and then it's nice, where emotional abuse can be just constant all the time in everything that's going on. And this is a big one. Ruling by silence, where everything I say and everything I want, everything I need, everything I do is all final. That's it. Not up for argument. So, it's our responsibility to speak up and tell our partners how we feel, what we're thinking, what we want, what we need. And I know it is hard. It is really hard. And if you're in a relationship like this, then you can't. Okay, so that should tell you, if you're ever in this kind of relationship, if you ever feel these kinds of feelings I've talked about before, and you know that they aren't going to listen to anything that you say or do or want or feel. Just know that that's your responsibility, and you still got to do something. Something. And if it's not going to work, then it's got to end. Okay? And I just know it's so hard. This stuff is not easy. It's so difficult. And what we need to do is do it. Is do these things and have some success in them. Right? So build up our confidence and self-esteem. Because what we're doing is we're trying to, and we're having failures. They're making you fail at it. Right? So you have no confidence, no self-esteem, and then eventually we stop. We stop trying. But it's your responsibility, okay? All right, guys. I hope that helps. I hope that was some helpful information. If you have questions, please ask. And if you could help me and help other people that can benefit from this, to share it, vote, put it in a playlist, put it on social medias and groups and forums and things like that, okay? Thanks, guys. Always love yourself first, and I'll see you again. Bye.